feel for it.
Yeah, honorable mentions is real fast for me. I've come across desert bighorn sheep out here in Montana, all over. I, you know, Mountain goats up in the Beartooth, 12,000 feet up, just me and them on top of these mountain cliffs. Hidden Lake, the goats, the rams up there. We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility? Clink. Ooh, I clinked hard today. I got my screen shaking.
I overshot mine.
Yeah.
Man, how's it going? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wandering Ways, where we wander our way through nature looking for Bigfoot and doing crazy things like climbing mountains and looking at hot springs. I don't know. What else? What other crazy water rafting?
We do a lot of things here. But
I guess.
In Wandering Ways. We wander around. That's kind of why we went with Wandering Ways, I think.
And we got our Wandering Ways swag. Look at these dope stickers, these holographic stickers we got, guys. Check them out.
Or other stickers. I got a ton. So if anyone wants stickers of either our album cover that we got, the album cover, which is those holographic ones, or just our regular Wandering Ways logo, which is the one with Bigfoot in the mountains, hit me up on the Instagram at Reverend Marcus, and we'll work on getting you some sort of sweet swag sticker package.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, about any of our adventures, for any of our guests, anything like that, please send them our way. You could email us at wanderingwayspodcast@gmail.com. That we appreciate everyone that's reached out. Nick from Vermont says, love what you guys are doing, and we love it. Thank you, Nick from Vermont. My brother loves it. His friends love it. Every one of you that subscribes, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Keep listening on. We love it. Thank you.
Yeah, but anyways, let's talk about some adventures we have gone on recently, because we haven't gone on anything big, so it's not too exciting. But I finally got to explore the Ashland area a little bit more than just on my bike. I went, and there's a small town in the area called Jacksonville. No relation to Jacksonville, Florida.
None at all. Almost went there though.
Orlando. I almost went to Orlando, not Jacksonville. Yeah. But anyways, small town. It's kind of cool. It's an old mining town. But in there they have these trails and stuff, like literally right outside town, called the Britt Gardens.
Oh wow.
Like I went and parked at the public library in town, and I could walk to it.
Okay.
And there's a ton of trails. So it was like, I just went and got lost for an hour. I don't even really know how far I did it. I just took a bunch of trails. It was nice to get out. You can see this area. It was beautiful area out here. I'm excited to check out more now that I am more settled in, but it wasn't too exciting. Nothing like you. You had the more exciting trip. Recently.
My gosh, man. Well, and this one was kind of one of those trips. We pushed it ahead. Jared wanted to go out to Oregon, and so I was like, yeah, sure, let's head out there. So we went out there, Silver Falls State Park. We talked about it last time, I believe, a little bit, but just a beautiful park, waterfalls galore. You walk right underneath them.
Yeah,
I think people we've talked about this before with those hidden gems, Pompey's Pillar, Indiana Sand Dunes National Lakeshore, all these different small parks that we've been to. The reason they're not necessarily national parks or even national monuments or run by the National Park Service is because size Maybe the state parks were running them first, and it's the system that it is. But these places are just as cool and
Yeah.
amazing to see. I think we look at things like national, meaning wow, it's just that much more greater and bigger. But in when it comes to our parks, it really isn't, because you find these hidden gems. The Boulder River, where the waterfall. So there's a river in Montana here, and I believe we've talked about it before too, where the river goes right down into the rocks.
Oh yeah, we have talked about it. I remember you.
And it shoots out down below, so it's kind of weird. It like gets lost for a second, goes underground, and like during May, especially on like really like floody years, it goes over the top. So not only is it going out the bottom, but it's also going over the top of the waterfall. So like that's one cool place that you don't really get to see, and it has a spectacular thing like the Fire Falls in Yosemite in February. You know how those.
That's a national park and it's big. You know, everyone knows about the waterfall.
But that thing is so similar to when this water, it happens for a week, and it maybe happens every year. It doesn't necessarily happen. It's a similar type event, but because that's the only thing in that area, it's not a national park, but it's just as cool as something as such.
They're taking reservations this year to go to the fire waterfall in Yosemite.
We got to get on that though.
Well, they're doing it this year, and I'm willing to bet it ends up turning into more of a thing. But they're doing it this year because of COVID, as they're trying to reduce the numbers, which I get because.
Let's get on the list.
Oh, hell yeah, I'll go see a fire waterfall. I've seen the pictures; they look legit, and I know what happens when you go from a picture to the real thing. Okay. If anyone's gone to the Grand Canyon, they know the difference from picture to the real flipping thing.
Right? Another thing that was really cool, actually, I did. I drove up to Great Falls, Montana. It was 0 degrees, -1. Wind was blowing, snow was falling down, and on my drive, I saw 2 coyotes on the side of the road. Kind of hanging out in the field. And I've never before, in all my years, I've never seen 2 coyotes ever together like that. I'm not sure if January, February is when they're breeding.
Yeah, I'm not a coyote expert.
I'll probably look it up. So I'll let you guys know. I'll look it up eventually. But it was really interesting to see them that close together, because every time I've ever come across a coyote, they're always single, alone.
I think they gather sometimes in smaller groups.
And then they do howl. Like I do understand that. But what's interesting, usually when I'm out further in nature, out more in the like sticks, nobody land.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them in ones. The packs, where I've come across packs and multiple coyotes, is like when I was living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So like we lived near the Air Force Base, so like they were around there.
Yeah.
And in Oregon, where my parents live in Newberg, there's packs of coyotes that like they've seen, and I don't really necessarily have that here. Out in the sticks, I see just one running.
Yeah, I think it's like wolves. You see like a lone wolf. That's why they coined the term lone wolf.
Well, wolves are more of like a pack though than even a coyote.
I think that's just because we see them more. In packs. Unfortunately, no one really cares about coyotes. Everyone's just like, oh, dude, it's a coyote.
You're right. And like, I have a coyote pelt right here in the other room of a coyote I shot.
Yeah.
It's a coyote. And
that's everybody is just like, oh man, it's a coyote. Like they don't care. I think more people get upset because they're like, damn coyotes getting my chickens.
Right.
I know my parents say that with their chickens. They're like, coyotes got my chickens. It's either a coyote or a raccoon.
Right. My parents just got chickens too at their house, and I'm interested to see.
Yeah. Wait till winter. Wait till winter. They start coming.
Well, I like that because that kind of brings us a nice little segue to our another one of our top fives.
Yeah, we're bringing you another top 5, everybody.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, super exciting. No, this time we are doing our top 5 animal encounters. So we've come across and had like a cool experience or story or event that happened with an animal of an animal, these ranging from mammals to reptiles to birds to insects to, I'm trying to think of all the vertebrates. I haven't taken high school science in a long time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and they come in all shapes and sizes and places and stuff. So it's pretty exciting.
Animal encounters.
Yeah, there's animal encounters. Who doesn't like a good animal encounter?
Creatures
So,
of the world.
yeah, I don't know if you want to start this off with your number 5, your 5th top 5. What is coming in at number 5?
And it's funny because we kind of just started hinting on them, and that number 5 for me is a wolf. Right? Howl, snarl, snarl. Insert animal noise here. No. I've got a few encounters with wolves, and that's what I like about them. That's why they rank 5 for me. Because, for example, like the one time in Yellowstone, we came across a wolf. We were right before the Lamar Valley, coming out of Cook City, up in the Beartooth Mountains, Beartooth Absaroka Wilderness area, kind of in Yellowstone National Park. We came across one just right off the side of the road, really close, probably 45 yards away from us. Great encounter. It sucked because there was a car in between us, so I would have just stopped. I probably should have. He probably would have been okay with it.
He was stoked that you like flashed and was like, "Hey man, thanks for flashing. I got to see a wolf."
I got these lights on the back of my car that I can flash. So if you're brighten me, I'm going to get you with them, just so you know. Mark hates it. No, that was really cool. But I was just being courteous and was like, well, probably shouldn't just slam on my brakes and stop, but saw a wolf. I've also been in the Lamar Valley before where there was a dead elk in the middle of the river, and there was a pack of wolves, mom and her like 3 cubs. And what she was doing was she was grabbing some of the elk meat and bringing it to the cubs just right up on the hillside, of the river there. We're out on the western side of the park. I forget what it's called. Up by like Swan Lake, and we came across one. We actually pulled over at a rest stop to use the restroom, and sure enough, it just came running by. And right after, and this was early. This was in the like 2005, 2006, and that's kind of like the 10 years of when the wolves were introduced into Yellowstone, and that's kind of when they started to really thrive, and people were starting to see them and be able to study them. A lot of studies were happening just then.
Yeah.
So they got into it. So we saw a bunch of like those groups following. When I was actually just out there in December, we came across some wolvers. They were studying the wolves, and they had like the sides of their vans were painted, and they were organizations directed towards that. But yeah, and then the one interesting time, we're way out in eastern Montana near Winnett, and we came across, me and my dad were hunting, and we like looked over inside this field, and we're like, is that a coyote or a horse or a deer? Because it was just such a weird size from like the distance it was.
Yeah.
And then it just took off running like a dog, and we're like, that's too big to be a coyote. It was about as big as like a small deer, a wolf size. And we're like, that's a wolf, because it was like black. It wasn't, coyote color. It was dark. It was darker. And there we go. Like, we saw it.
No, wolves are cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I've only had that one small glimpse of it, so I don't know. Like, yeah, I've seen a wolf. I don't know if I call it like a real encounter for me. So that's why it's not making wolves aren't making like my top list.
Right.
My number five may come like a little bit odd, but I just love these guys, and it's one of my favorite parts every time. The two times two times I've been to Devil's Tower. I think I've been twice. I absolutely get the biggest kick out of all of those groundhogs or the little prairie dogs.
Yes.
They are, I get such a ride out of them. So the prairie dogs are my number five at Devil's Tower.
I love it.
When you're down below and you got the huge field of them everywhere, and they're just like doing their little their little squeaks, or they like hop up on their like two legs.
Well,
The first time we saw them, it was a complete surprise that we were gonna see them. And they were
I,
a riot.
I love it because what kind of, I guess for me, you're right, would make like that smaller category is like the marmots. You get those
Yeah.
marmots when you're up on the Hidden Lake hike in Glacier and the at Pompey's Pillar even, and that reminds me just of exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, no, these guys, there's all of them. They're crazy. And like, you could get pretty close, but they're not going to let you get like that close. And I had the one come like right up to the GoPro. I have the picture of it. That is a phenomenal picture of it. And I got a video too of like it scurrying off after I took the picture of it and all that. So it's I get a riot, I think number five for me was tough to pick because there were so many right there at it. And I mean, we'll talk about the honorable mentions later, but for me, number five, those prairie hogs at Devil's Tower. Devil's Tower is underrated. Go check it out just for the prairie dogs, if anything.
Oh, they're awesome. I every time it's a must stop. You make a stop there. Um, the prairie dogs are great out in Montana. You have Prairie Dog State Park right there by Big Timber. If you ever need to just take a stop off the side of the interstate, there's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, they're great.
anyways, you want to go into number four?
Number
Coming in at number four.
four. For me, it's the bison and my bison encounters. Um, there's one time where you and I were at Yellowstone, and we were by the Dragon's Mouth, um, which is a vent where steam and kind of some mud pots are in Yellowstone. And it's right there close to the Hayden Valley where we've seen bear right there,
Yeah.
grizzly bear. We've seen bison, and a lot of times the bison are really close to those uh, geysers and hot vents. And there's this one time we were standing there, and these bison were just eating. They were far enough away, that 10, 25 yards away, where you're on the path, and they're not really bothered by you because this is a daily occurrence for them. But they're still wild. And these ones, especially you get there certain times of the year when they're rutting or whatnot, they're aggressive. And these ones weren't as aggressive, but there was an encounter where he got real close to us. And his breathing, you could just feel the like nose and the breaths that he was taking as he kind of like walked towards us. And it was that aggressive, like, hey, get out of my way.
Yeah, he took a step, and I remember going,
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm out.
It was that like, I'm gonna not get you, but I'm gonna scare you because
Yeah.
I'm alpha.
Yeah, and there was a fence, kind of a fence. It's like
Just
maybe
wearing the
it's like knee high.
Yeah.
It's like two rings. It's just some wood that they put to kind of make the trail a little nicer type deal. That was between us. But I mean, if he wanted full steam, shit, he could have.
Oh, and there were other tourists getting closer to him
Yeah.
uh, right after that with us, and it was just like, nah. There's videos of that stuff, but bison encounters are always cool. Being able to hunt bison and the way they interact with one another, um, the way how it is a spiritual kind of journey to go on and do. Because they are creatures, they can jump barbed wire fences. I've seen them jump, a 5 foot tall fence and
Yeah.
run like 60 miles an hour. Like they can book it.
Yeah. No, they are physical specimens for sure.
They're all
They're
muscle,
more athletic than you think.
but they're fun to be around. Bison are cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I do like a good bison, and I do like a good bison burger. they are they taste a lot better than beef, and they're a lot more friendlier to the environment than beef. So
Arguably, I could argue you can make beef just as environmentally friendly, but that's a different topic another day. Um, my number 4, I don't know if I've ever told the story about this because it's something that never really clicks in my head to like think about a lot
Mhm.
or talk, but it was when I was up fishing in Alaska. We I'm trying to remember. I think it was my second year up in Alaska. And they closed the fishing down for a couple days to let some salmon go up river, which happens all the time, which is a good thing. Helps the numbers, helps the run happen, the salmon run happen, so that way we can keep getting sockeye salmon every year. Helps the area out super. They do it right up there. It's super important. But anyway, we're docked up at the canneries and the tide's coming in. Or no, it's going out. It's going out, back out into Bristol Bay. We're on like the Naknek River. And you look across, and all of a sudden, what you'll see is these little white dips kind of coming up and out of the water. Just like ton of them. I probably I don't know, 50 plus of these just white, just the whole sprued, they're going, it's like 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of these beluga whales just coming up. And we'd see beluga whales quite a bit up there when you're out fishing. I remember one time we had our nets out and I was like, are they going to be able to dodge our nets? Like they've got the know it's there for sure, but it looked like they were going to go straight into it. But to see the belugas, just like I'm talking, coming back from the river back out into the bay, just in the line, just tons of them. It was crazy to think. And I was like, man, I wish we had like a little boat or skiff or something we could go out and like really see them. But
Wow.
we're just stuck on the boat. I was reading or probably trying to sleep a little bit later. But shoot, I tell you what, seeing beluga whales, you hear the song, there's that song like Baby Beluga and all, you see them in the aquariums and all that, but seeing them wild is kind of like crazy because when I first saw them, I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot about these guys. Like I honestly had like no picture of like where they lived in the wild. And then sure enough, when I was up in Alaska.
Well, that makes sense because I knew they were Arctic, but I didn't
Yeah.
know they're like, for some reason I was thinking like, oh, maybe like Atlantic Arctic.
Yeah, I had like no real. They have some on the Atlantic.
Oh, so
Um,
probably it's probably just Arctic, like up north.
yeah, because they got the really. If you've seen the Seven Worlds, One Planet series, I think it's a year old now. Which everyone check it out, super amazing. But anyways, they got the North America one, and they filmed polar bears hunting the belugas, and they like
Oh wow.
sit in these rocks like above, so the rocks are above the water, so they'll sit on the water above it, so they're out on the like water, but the whales can't see them because they're out of the water, but
Okay.
the bears can see them from above, and they wait till they get really close and they just hop right on them. It's really crazy to watch.
Wow, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah, it's super good. It's super good. I highly recommend it. That whole series is amazing.
Wow. Um, dang. I yeah, I like whales. I like
Whales are
whales.
super cool.
Um, they know,
Whales are
they know something.
they're smart. They're smart. They're super smart. Whales are super smart. We don't give them
Well,
enough. We don't give them enough credit because they're in a different world than we are. They live in a water world.
well,
So
but they're the biggest brain, and we value our brains as
yeah,
humans. There's something about the human brain that makes us human, and there's something about the whale brain that makes them whale. You know.
yeah. No, they're super intelligent creatures, and we should all try and remember that and try and save those guys. Fuck SeaWorld.
And whale hunters.
Yeah, whale hunters. And then there's Canada just passed some laws actually where you can't have captive whales anymore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but anyways, fuck SeaWorld. And we'll move on to number 3. We're getting into the top 3 now.
My 3 is a black bear. I've had some really cool experiences with black bears, especially in Yellowstone Park. They're always fun to come across. But when we were living down in New Mexico, we had a place in Chama, New Mexico, which is in northern New Mexico in the mountains. And we had a lot of black bears around our cabin. So much so that every once in a while they would bring in like bear cages to trap them so that they could trap them and bring them up like higher in the mountains.
Yeah.
We had so many encounters. They would come into like our trucks, and you would see like paw prints all over like the trucks and things around the cabin, and you would see them like just walk by on like the road. And one time we went fishing we had this pond that we'd go fishing at by our cabin, and we were fishing there, and it got late. It was dark, and we were walking back. And my dad says during the whole time, he's like, there was something following us. He goes like, I felt it. And so when we got like up to the cabin, he grabbed his spotlight and sure enough shined it down on the road. And there was a black bear walking right behind where we were just like, not too far behind us. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, that'd be eerie.
Yeah.
you know.
That was something cool. We've seen them up in Sealy, with their cubs. We've come across them in Glacier, up in Waterton. I've come across black bear. The Smoky Mountain. I unfortunately didn't get to see any down there, but that's a good area for them.
Yeah.
They're interesting. They're more calm, I think, in the lower 48 than like up in Alaska. So like you get that more calmer bear. Yeah, they're still dangerous though, folks.
Yeah.
But their personalities are more calm, I feel.
Yeah, probably. It just seemed like your dad had that sense, because I was like literally in a conversation with someone today, and we were talking about that like predator prey sense, where even though you may not necessarily see something, you'll be in a situation and you'll go like, something ain't right now. Like there's something going on, something near us that's like, I need to be on alert.
Yes, I agree with that. Especially out in the woods. I do believe that
that's when you feel it. That's when I'm talking, that predator prey feeling is in the woods. I don't know how often you would get it in like a city, because because it's different when you're around people than if you're around a cougar.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that presence. You sense that presence of someone there, and you almost that, like if you were to give that predator a personality, it's that aggressive personality that they are, that vibe that they're giving off, because we don't necessarily think about all the pheromones and stuff that we naturally react to, that animals naturally react to, that plants, that why men like women, because the pheromones, the scents, the estrogen, the testosterone, all that bullshit that we don't really truly understand.
Yeah.
I feel you get those same things with animals, and they might have better readings on stuff like that, and I think that's why they are, they're better stalkers, they're better, see better, they do this better, it's those type of things.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you take your instance with the black bear, your dad still had a sense,
Oh yeah,
right?
no.
Like he had that. And then, like, even take when we were talking with Rick about Bigfoot, he
100%.
said he could get closer and you get a sense like something's not right. The guy I was talking to today, he had that, but with a cougar. He was out for a run and like a cougar. And the way the cougar was like walking, he was like, yeah, this thing was like kind of corralling me. And then luckily like a minivan or something rolled through and scared it off,
Oh,
So it's like we have that sense. So, and I don't know what it could be, a smell. I don't know. It's just there's something that makes
it's
us
there.
go, yeah.
No, I get exactly, yeah. I was just diving deep.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's fair. So no, but that's gotta love bears, Hello, my wanderers. Before we get going with this episode of the podcast, I do just want to remind you guys to check out our other social medias, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Teespring to get that swag. Make sure to check us out individually. Zach Gray of Quartz Lake, Zach Gray, the Rougarou. Make sure you check out myself, Reverend Marcus, all that fun stuff. The links are below in the bio. All you got to do is click that bio, look for it, and boom, you're on your way. Make sure if you guys want to be part of the podcast or questions to be heard on the podcast, email us at wanderingwayspodcast@gmail.com or quartzlakeproductions@gmail.com. We love the feedback. We love the input. All of it is amazing. And we love you guys for listening. It's awesome. So let's keep wandering on.
Well, what's your number 3? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is actually a bear story.
We're getting into bears, huh?
Yeah, it's actually, I'm pretty sure it's probably in your list above.
Well, it's probably my number 2 because this is the bear area.
Yeah. No, I mean, the reason why it didn't crack my top 2, I'll explain. Like my two, which I'll get later, is like a bear with a little bit more. So that's why it doesn't crack. But this one is a grizzly bear. And I mean, we've talked about this on here before. It's always worth sharing. But it was when we were at Glacier National Park, the first time I'd ever been.
2015, August.
Yeah, August 2015. Actually, I was fresh off the boat, from Alaska. But
belugas coming on down.
Yeah, but anyway, we did the Hidden Lake hike. We had gone down the hike to the lake that year. And then we came up. We're coming. And when you're in national parks, the one thing you learn about is when you see people looking at stuff, stop and look, because there's a good chance you're going to see something. Now, you will get jackasses like us every now and then that just stop and pretend to look. But yeah, that's us being funny.
Well, speaking of grizzly bears, since it's my number 2, I like what you just said, where we stop and look. There was one time we were in Yellowstone, and I'm sorry to cut your story off.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, your 3 or my 3 and your 2 are the same, so we can share it.
That's what I figured. But we were in Yellowstone, and this I think was a grizzly bear. We were right there, right before you get to the Lamar Valley, closer to the river, and we saw him. It was just a little dot in like my rear view mirror. I was like, oh shit, that's a bear. So I pulled the car over, and we're the only car there. So we get out, we walk up this hill, and sure enough, a car comes right up to us. And, hey, you guys see anything? What you looking for? And that's what I don't like about tourists in Yellowstone is a lot of them stop and ask you regardless that, I get it. Like you see car stopped, there's looking at something. So you want to look at it, but there's a line there, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times tourists cross that line where, it's like, oh, I'm just going to pull over because there's another car's pulled over. It's like, I get it, but yeah.
Yeah, and I know the time you're talking about, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the best spot for a lot of cars, which
No.
would have happened once you tell one group, "Hey, there's something." Then,
There's
people,
a time and place for it.
yeah, there
And
is.
this wasn't it. So I just told Mark, I said, no, we're just taking pictures of ourselves with the mountains.
Yeah,
And they just were like, oh, okay, we thought there was a bear over here. And like,
there
okay.
was, but
Well, there
we
was. But we
but,
wanted that moment for ourselves.
yeah,
We were being selfish.
yeah. But anyway, back to the actual bear encounter that we had this time. We see people pointing, and like well off in the distance, we see a bear up on this hill, and it's making its way down the hill. So we kind of engaged in it, but I mean it's a ways off, so we're not like too excited about it. Still bears, still cool to see, but it's more like a little dot in the distance. But we're walking and we're kind of watching it as we make our way down. And there's one point where it's kind of close. And like, I don't know if it was me turning to you or you turning to me. And we're like, snap, it might like come down by the trail closer, down farther. And we're like the only people going down at this point. That's just happened to be luck. Everyone was heading to the lake. We happen to be heading from the lake. But we come, and then that we see that couple, and we're like, hey, we think a bear's going to pop out right over here. You want to come with us?
Yeah.
The couple was like, oh, hell yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, sure as shit. It came, like 30 yards from us, coming out, eating some grubs and stuff.
Yeah, he was just digging up bugs and all that. He appeared to be a boy. I believe he was a young, like maybe 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old kind of male because he wasn't a big grizzly bear.
No, he looked young.
But he looked young. And being alone like that and the way he was, he looked male. There was a fire down by St. Mary's Lake, so I think that was kind of pushing him around, and that's why they were up there by Logan's Pass. And he walked right on the boardwalk. There's a boardwalk in like certain places on that hike. They've installed boardwalks to make it easier for people to get up. He walked right in front of that, right by us. There's probably like 8 people around us.
Yeah.
Across because it was at like kind of a easier part of the hike, so people would do that. But he just kind of continued on his way. But there was a time when I thought he was going to put his paw down on that thing and just turn right for us.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at him, and when he came towards the path, he was walking right at us for the path. Then we went up. We're standing by that couple, and that gal's just like, "You guys got bear spray?" We're like, "No." She's like, "All right, we'll stay together."
No, and that's smart to have.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever heard about really grizzly turning on people, just like out of the blue, is in Cook City. They have a grizzly bear that one night people were camping, and this is kind of one of the reasons they don't allow a lot of tent camping in that area anymore. It's hard shell only, and there's a grizzly bear, and she was with her cubs, and she went into a campground and killed like 4 people in one night. Which is uncommon, and she was doing it, and the way they were saying it's because they got her and they opened up her stomach, and she was eating the people. And what they say is there's probably like a lack of food in the area for her, and she was finding a way to feed her kids. And once they get like on human, like game over.
Yeah. Shoot, man, humans probably taste good. Getting all sweetened up with the Mickey D's and the fast food joints.
That fatty juices, in our
Yeah.
probably.
I'm sure people taste pretty good to a bear. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, probably. No, and actually, funny side story. So I was dating this girl back in high school. She had an internship out at the zoo here, and those cubs became the bears at our zoo here in Billings. And part of their things is they would have some of the animals paint as like fundraisers and hoopla and
Yeah.
all. So they would spray paint on these like poster boards, and the bear would put his paw on it and rub it across. And I got to see that one time, and that was those cubs, I believe, and they could come around whole circle. Yeah.
Well, so that's your number two. I mean, do you got anything to add to the story, or should I just jump straight into my number two?
Mine, yeah, because grizzly bears are my number two. You got the Montana Grizzlies, go Grizz. No, I've come across them quite a bit I've come across them up in Glacier a couple times. Up in Waterton, I came across a few. Um, they're really amazing creatures. In Yellowstone, a couple times. The mama bear and her two cubs right off the side of the road. When moments from parting ways with you, I
Yeah.
come across that, and then moments after leaving them, come across a beautiful male grizzly, just big boy. Um, it was really cool. Those cubs are really special to see. But that's my number two.
Good old bears.
I love bears.
Yeah, my number two is kind of a cousin of the grizzly, and it's the brown bear
Okay.
up in Alaska. I was fortunate enough to go fishing up there, and even more fortunate enough, I got to go to Katmai National Park in the Brooks up there to see the brown bears and see some sockeye salmon. But we would take a boat into the park, and we were going, and we found like this one, like there's kind of a creek coming into the lake there. So yeah, it's got the creek, but before the bear, the reason we're there is we see a bunch of sockeye salmon. And sockeye salmon's commonly called reds because once they hit the fresh water, they start turning red. They're like the classic picture everyone sees of them. So we're out in front of this creek, and this is when I learned how cool polarized lenses are. Because we're just sitting and everyone's like, oh, wow. And I could see the fish kind of, finning and all that. And I was just like, man, there's a ton of them. And one of the people I was with was like, here, look with my sunglasses. They're polarized lenses. So I was like, all right, cool. So I put them on, and holy shit, I kid you not. It went from like, I thought there was like maybe, I don't know, like 20, 30. No, every freaking where we're covered with these fish. And you just see them with the polarized lenses. And I was like, what? And so, I'm all in now on these fish. But as we're sitting there, the craziest thing happened. So we're by this like creek kind of river thing, and a mob of these fish just rush from the creek back into the bigger lake. And I mean, so many of them, they make a wave, like probably a good foot.
Wow.
So they make this like it's a wave of fish. Some of them are beaching themselves on it, and they're just like, whoa. Like they just all rush, and you're like, why? It was like something must have spooked them or something. And sure enough, like I think two, maybe three brown bears came out, and they're all like just fishing like right in that spot. And it was just like, whoa. Got super blessed to experience that. And that was on our way up. We went into Brooks, and you can go to like where, National Park takes all the or National Geographic takes all the pictures, and you see the bears like at the falls there, like catching the fish, doing their fishing thing. Like we're there watching them do their fishing and you see the fish jump, and then you see the bears. They all have their own different fishing technique, where like one of them will dive, some will just try and catch them out of the air. Some are above, below, kind of the side. And they'll get one, they go right off to the side, and you can just hear them crunch into these fish because you're on these like little boardwalks above land. So I mean, they'll go like literally right under the boardwalks and just crunch, crunch. You're like, whoa, don't want to get in between one of these bears. And that's when I start singing out in the wild, because bears don't like the noise, and they'll be like, well, they don't mind it, but you don't surprise them, so they don't attack you.
You just think you're another creature.
Yeah, I'd start singing. I got my tunes. I got my whistling. That's why I'm a whistler now. I'll just be walking around and start whistling like that Robin Hood, Little John running through the forest tune, because I got in that habit.
I just talk.
Yeah, talking's the easiest one, but if it's just like me, and then if there's a moment of quiet, I just start whistling like, yeah.
Nice. No, I like that. Bears, they're really fucking cool animals.
Yeah, and then the fish, man, the fish were nuts.
That's cool. That's a cool experience.
Yeah.
That's something I want. I want that.
those sockeye salmon, they're beautiful. They're beautiful creatures, and we need to make sure we keep that run going up there. So everybody, anti-Pebble Mine. If you don't know what Pebble Mine is, check it out, and let's make sure Pebble Mine never happens.
Right.
But we're done 5 through 2. We're down to the final one, our top. But before we get to it, you got 2 honorable mentions. Didn't quite make the list, but were pretty sweet. Just give us like the 1-sentence spiel for it.
Yeah, honorable mentions is real fast for me. I've come across desert bighorn sheep out here in Montana, all over. Mountain goats up in the Beartooth, 12,000 feet up, just me and them on top of these mountain cliffs. Hidden Lake, the goats, the rams up there. I also, for me, the marmots and the squirrels and the little creatures, because the joy they bring to you when you come across them in some of these trails. But that would be like some of my honorable mentions. Moose, 100%. Had some good moose experiences.
That's actually one of my honorable mentions, is the Grand Teton moose. When we woke up and he's like right basically in our camp almost. So, I mean, that was one of my honorable mentions. Another honorable mention, just because it is a riot of a little story, is that rattlesnake. When we saw that rattlesnake, and I mean, we're at a safe distance. It was still kind of eerie because I never heard the rattle before. But that guy, when we said, hey, watch out, rattlesnake, he's like, nope, and did the 180 turn, and he was out.
Well, and what I like about the rattlesnakes is I've come across them here living in Montana, every summer you come across one or two, but I've never had one rattle at me like that. And it was just a neat experience, but it was also crazy how far away we were from him in my mind.
It's odd that he rattled at us. Now thinking about like how far he really was.
Yeah, we were probably 12 feet, and the max he
we were more than 12 feet.
But like the max he could jump is 6.
Yeah. That's what was odd about that experience.
Yeah.
But still cool to see.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. And then my other animal encounter honorable mention, of course, is Bigfoot. When I saw Bigfoot. We've talked about it enough. We don't need to go into details, but seeing Bigfoot's a pretty cool experience.
You're lucky. You're glad.
But that is our honorable mentions. Let's just jump into numero uno, number 1 animal encounter that the Wandering Ways crew has experienced with Zach Gray. What's yours?
My number one is elk. I've had so many cool experiences with these creatures. Um, and just how they can be in herds of 300, 500, 1,000, and just hide in the trees, and they hide in these forests. They're almost ghost like. I've been hunting and come across a herd of 100 bull elk just sitting out in the field, just beautiful. um Driving, when I just came back from Oregon, for last Thanksgiving, I came across a herd of about 80 of them in Seeley Lake. Similar, kind of close up by the Blackfoot River, me and my dad came across a herd of about 300. Um, when you can actually sit and watch them in these fields, and watch the things they do and who they hang out with and what they do. Um, Herd animals are really interesting to me. You look at like the caribou, you look at like the penguins in these mass numbers, and the societies and the things that they do to survive and whatnot. And elk being that same way, and having traditional migration patterns that have stemmed back thousands of years. It's just interesting when we look at animals and the societies and the ways of life that they live, and how we relate that to like us as humans and what we do, and like the simple things we do. We expand, we do this, we evolve, we adapt, we change this, that. I feel animals are doing the same thing in their own way. um, and to understand that, that's very important, because we in a sense need to coexist with them. And the elk are one of those creatures, and there's a lot of controversy behind them, with the reintroduction of the wolves. But there's also a lot of good, and like the way the numbers balance. And the problem is we don't take into consideration that our human population has grown at an exponential rate. um, so even 70 years ago, you know there wasn't that many people on this planet. Now there's almost 8 billion people. We've grown so fast, so quick, that we think, oh, the animals have been fine. No, when yeah, maybe in the 50s, when you had 400 hunters, you could go get all deer. But now you have 10,000 or 20,000. It's like, wow, that's a lot more than 400. And I think people, we can't, it's hard for us to think that way,
Yeah.
because of how fast it has happened. It's happened less than lifetimes as fast as.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. We got too
Yeah,
many people.
the elk make my Wandering Ways number one
Number
animal.
one animal encounter for
Right.
the Zach Gray of Quartz Lake, the Zach Gray, the Rougarou, the man. His number one encounter is all of those amazing elk.
Correct.
My number one encounter, jumping over to me, I'm going back to the Wada. I'm going back to when I went whale watching up in Canada with Vince and Phil, because that was honestly, I was so blessed to be able to go on that road trip. Then I was even more blessed to get the opportunity to go and do a whale watching experience, and then to just put the cherry on top of all the amazing things that I got to experience. The actual trip itself was bonkers.
Yeah.
We got to see like 3 separate like whale hunts for these seals. We got way closer than I expected to get to these whales. And killer whales are truly incredible mammals, creatures out there. And it's crazy to think that they're actual creatures. They're super intelligent. They're majestic in the water. Yeah, they're killers for a reason, but there's no real wild confirmed human kills that I can think of. There maybe you can count them all on one hand, but most of the deaths happen in fucking SeaWorld. But, that's why we say fuck SeaWorld. But, that getting the chance to see them in doing their thing in 3 separate seal hunts, and they did it 3 different ways. So, I couldn't ask for a better experience that I got. And that's just the whale part. We got other things, but I'm just talking the whale part for this specific adventure. But anyways, that's the Reverend Marcus. The Reverend Marcus #1 is out whale watching up in Canada on the Vancouver Island. A real treat.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying, especially up there in Vancouver, how beautiful it is to see that. I bet the scenery too, with all that, gorgeous.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But I mean, shoot, we filled our time today. So,
oh my goodness!
Yeah, I got to be that guy.
Again?
Although it's a little easier today to be that guy, because we finished our list. So it's time for the final words. So again, any final words, my guy?
Stay beautiful, everybody. Go watch some animals wherever you are. Just go spend an hour or two observing them, seeing what they do. It could be your dog. It could be, a fish. It could be a hamster, something easy for you to watch. But then go outside if you have the opportunity. Go watch an osprey. Go watch a bear. Go watch a moose. Go watch a deer. Go watch an elk. Do all that if you have the opportunity to do, because they have abilities and needs and wants and all these things that are very similar to us. And they're not that much different if you really think about what they're doing and how they're doing it. They're just not as civilized. That's really the only difference. And it's fun to just watch them live. It's almost like they don't have any real problems. Like, they have problems, but they seem pretty happy for the most part. Enjoyable. They love their lives.
For sure. I dig it, my guy. Reverend's final words of wisdom. I mean, shoot, stay beautiful, you guys. You guys are amazing and wonderful. I can't tell you how much we appreciate every single one of our listeners and everyone that listens to this. So, I mean, again, thank you guys all for listening today. Main final words for me, for the Reverend, is, go outside. That hike I talked about that I did here, the Britt Gardens, that's literally, it's the woods and kind of the forest type deal, but it's kind of a city park. It's right next to this little town. So it's something you can do. There's a ton of stuff out there like that. And these trails are probably multi-purpose too. You don't just have to walk. You can go for a run, maybe take your bike. Each park's different. There's probably something. If you enjoy Frisbee golf, go try and just get outside, enjoy nature as nature is. Because, it's here for a reason, and it's amazing. So I think we can all really enjoy that, no to Pebble Mine and fuck SeaWorld. But anyways, that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.